Welcome back to Guns and Coffee, where we have gun talk. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more gun talk, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up. So today I have this Ruger Charger, and I have a Franklin Armory binary trigger. Now this one is for the 1022, but this will work with the Charger as well. So I'm going to install this, and I will do another shooting video a little bit later on, but for today I'll just be installing this. Now this does work with the 1022. It's pretty much got the same internals as a 1022, so it does work with the Charger. And yeah, let's get started. Man, they do such a good job sealing this thing. Can't hardly open it. All right. Oof. Alright, so first off we have your trigger, your hammer, then you got instructions. Alright, so have your bolt catch, then you have your stickers, show which side is the binary or safe. Got Allen wrench, and you have your, let's see, several other things here. So let's see, you have your trigger spring and your hammer spring. Then they call these the selector shaft and the selector paddles. And you have some spacers, and then you have your selector, detent, and spring. So there are going to be some parts that you're going to be reusing from your OEM, but this is what it is included in the package. So I'll set all this stuff aside. I'm not using the stickers, so put those up. May use them later, I don't know. Scoot everything aside here. Alright, so there's all your parts. Let's get started. We are empty. And we are clear. So first, here's a screw. And here's one as well. You need to take this off in order to take the pistol grip off, and then this holds the other part of the barrel. There we go. You just pull it off, and then there is another bolt on that side, but Here's that. And then what you're going to do is the safety selector, you're going to put it in the middle, and then it should fall right out. So if you don't, it'll get caught. And this is held on. So you could set that off to the side, set this off to the side as well. Alright. So first off, I'll take these pins out. They should fall right out. Shouldn't be hard at all. Set those off to the side. And if you get mixed up, these are the largest pins. Those are for your trigger housing. So now we have it out. So we're going to punch out all of these pins as well. So we're going to start with this one where the top, so this will be towards the front of the gun. So it is held in. There's a spring right here. It's not going to go flying, but it is attached to this, and if you do plunge it, it will spring up. It's not going to go flying across the room or anything, but it will fly up inside here. So if you want to just put your thumb over it when you push this through, see that, and then take these out, and then next you are going to pull the trigger and let the hammer back, and then take the spring out from the hammer. That'll release some of this tension right here, so it'll be easier to punch this through as well. Note that there is this spring on this hammer, and we are going to reuse this spring. And then next, oh, that one just kind of fell out. That's for the bolt catch. Kind of just fell out, but pull that out as well. And next will be the trigger housing. So be careful with this. It is spring loaded in here. So when you do punch this out, release the trigger slowly. When you do take this trigger out, you have the plunger and the plunger spring here. So it's, let me see, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a hole right there. That's where this is. Plunger spring. So be careful of that. So as far as the mag release goes, you don't have to take it out, but if you do accidentally take it out, or if you do want to take it out because it is kind of spring loaded, hold your finger over this, pull this out, and then you could take this plunger piece out. So alright, so now is the tricky part. This is where you take the safety switch out. So what you're going to have to do, if you look down in there, down there, there is a detent and spring. Not getting a good. There we go. It's down back this way. So what you're gonna have to do is turn this 90 degrees, and then it'll come out. So what you want to do is, you don't want to overturn it, because then it'll come on this flat spot and then you'll have a hard time. So what you want to do is 90 degrees and then slide it out. And make sure you flip it upside down, and make sure you cover these holes as well, because it can shoot out these holes. But hold it. You want a 90 degrees turn. It went too far. See how that went too far? Now it's resting on that flat piece. So if that happens, you need to spin it back. Which is a pain. So if that happens to you, you could use this and then try to push the plunger back and try to spin it. If that doesn't, if you can turn it and get it back, then that's cool. But if you need to use something like this to push the plunger back to spin it, do so. But only turn it about 90 degrees. Alright, so let's try this again. 90 degrees. And then hear that? Make sure it's upside down so these don't go flying, and if you do, you're probably not going to find it. So here's your detent and spring, and then here's your safety. Alright, so now it's just an empty trigger group, and we'll go to the next step. Alright, so now that we have everything removed, we are going to reuse all of the pins. So keep those. We won't be needing the hammer. We will be needing this spring. This is the bolt catch spring. Won't be needing the hammer or the trigger. And the safety plunger and spring, and the trigger spring as well we don't need. So we still do need the trigger plunger, just not the spring. So we do have the new spring for that. And of course the safety select we won't need as well. So I think everything else we're going to reuse. Yes. So alright, so let's get started. First, what we're going to do is we're going to take the safety detent and spring, and alright, so grab your needle nose, set that in that hole. And next we are going to take the safety select, the one that has the one paddle on. If you don't know which one it is, you want to put it on the side that doesn't have this flat spot. So if you look, this one has a flat spot. Try to get a better close-up on this. There you go. See how it's got that flat spot? You want to have that flat spot without the paddle. Paddle can go on the other side. And we're going to go from the right side, so this is the front, from the right side, and the flat spot down. And you're going to carefully do so the plunger is going to ride on this middle piece right here. So you're going to push it through this way and it'll ride on this middle piece. easiest way is to get you a punch. Stick this through. Get you a punch. And push that in. And be careful. Get a wider punch here. Doesn't go fine on me. Make sure it doesn't go fine on you. And push. And gonna work it in. See how it's riding on that? What you're gonna do is push this down, push it the rest of the way through. Push that through, and then now you should be able to spin this. Freely. All right. So now that we have that in, we will next get the trigger spring and plunger, and this will go in that little hole down here. It does help to have a little bit of oil. So what you are going to do is push this down in that hole. Hold it down with your finger, and then grab your trigger, and it is going to rest right here on that flat spot. So if you drop this in, and put it on that flat spot of that trigger, and then what you're going to do is line up. There's already a pin holding everything in, and you're going to take your trigger pin and push it through. And then push it through. There we go. So that's that pin that's holding it all together. Now you should. There we go. Alright, so next we are going to install the hammer. So well, I guess we won't need this either. So hammer, hammer spring, and the two spacers, and we're going to use the bolt catch spring as well. So, and then the pin. So what you're going to do first, the hammer, you want these little fins to face up, and if you have the housing, this is the front of the housing. Here's the hammer fins, and you want to take the hammer spring and loop this to where it's sitting like so. Okay, and then you're going to take these spacers, and if you look at the spacers, you have a little smaller area that is going to go on the inside, so this will fit like so in that hole. So get the spring, hook it, and then what you're going to do is put these spacers in that hole on either side, or both sides, like so. And then you're going to take the bolt catch spring, and this, if you look at it from the top, see how it bends towards the middle. So you want that towards the middle, and it's going to go on the right side of the hammer. So it'll go right here, like so. And see how it curves inwards, not outwards, curves inwards. And then make sure this is the front, and you're going to drop this in like so, and then line it up with this hole right here. Not too much. Then you're going to take your pin, and it'll be the thicker of the two, and you just want to, easy if you take a punch and kind of move it around so it, I guess it moved on me again. That's a fill. Try this again. There we go. So if you pull on the trigger a little bit and get it lined up, it'll be a little bit easier to get that hammer through, or have the holes for the hammer lined up so you get that pin in. So pull it back a little bit, jiggle it around, and it should line up. And if you cock this back, you'll see everything lined up. Alright, so next we'll be putting the bolt catch in. So what you're going to do is the spring, just move it backwards towards the back to where that bottom curved spring part is up, and you want to slide this down like so. And this curved piece is going to be resting on that little notch right there. So when you slide it down in there, put the spring back, it'll just rest on that. So drop it in there, and this is the part where if you did take these out, you need to put these back. Oh, here's that pin we're going to need. So in order to line all of this up, so you're going to take this mag release and push it down in there like so, and then when you push it all the way, there's this little notched piece. That is where this is going to be resting on, like so. See that? So it'll just rest in there, and then you'll be able to let the spring tension go, like so. Line these holes up. to jiggle some things around. There we go. And then slide this back down, see how the spring rests on that. Alright, so the last part is the ejector. So what you're going to do is take this pin, start it, and then this part of the spring, after you move it forward, you want to push this down and get it hooked like so. And then you'll take this and make sure the fin is facing upwards. Slide that right there through that hole, and where this is going to be, see that little slot, that's where it's going to be resting on, like that. All right. And then all right, so that is pretty much it. All right, so we'll run some tests. So first, put it in safety, and then try to pull the trigger. Nothing happens. Put it in fire, and put your finger over the hammer, and you'll see it. All right, so it works. So if you pull the trigger, put it back, it won't. It'll just reset. Let's try that again. Pull the hammer. It goes. Keep your finger on the trigger, and then release, and it shouldn't fire again. So now, binary mode. Pull the trigger, reset, and then there you go. So pull the trigger, fires, keep your finger on the trigger, reset, release, fires again. And then pull the trigger, cock it back, turn this to fire, and then if you release, it shouldn't fire again. So looks like everything's working, and we'll put everything back. So first, you're gonna have to take this paddle off because it will not clear. Take that off. So before we put it back, go ahead and pull the trigger, and if you see that this part of your spring down in there, can't get a good angle here, but if you look, there's that little spring on the side right here. That, if it's in the middle or hung up on here, just scooch it over to the side. It should be riding on the side like that, all the way. And then cock your hammer back and line these up. Take your pins, push it through. Alright. So now, if you had those paddles on, this is where it won't fit. So now we're gonna put this back in like so. Screw this down. strip on. Line it up correctly, and then should be able to screw this down. Make sure everything's nice and tight, and then you'll be putting the paddles back on, and then there's a little groove on them, so you just line those up, those grooves up. Same thing, there's grooves on this side as well. Line those up, screw it in. Make sure you tighten these down, you don't want to lose them. Alright, levers work. Alright, so the binary trigger install on this Ruger, this is the Ruger Charger, but it is the Ruger 1022 binary trigger. So hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for more gun talk. So please leave your questions and comments below, and until next time.